The sound of champagne glasses clinking reverberated around the opulent ballroom, where the area was illuminated by crystal chandeliers. I stood there, with Camilla's hand resting lightly on my arm and a smile on my face, as the noise and laughter surrounded us. Our wedding day was the day I was meant to feel like the luckiest guy alive. But the smile didn't quite reach my eyes. I believed I was alive until my new father-in-law, Gregory Vaughn, emerged. He lifted his glass to my daughter from his seat at the head table, his Rolex gleaming in the lights. Gregory's voice cut like a razor through the crowd's whispers. He said, "Love makes us all look foolish, but this man is just a broke loser." The room burst into a nasty, full-bellied, slap-the-table kind of laughter, not the awkward, uncomfortable kind. For a brief minute, I could almost imagine that nothing else was there, since my heart was beating so loudly in my chest. I wondered if I had heard him correctly, so perhaps I was only dreaming. But then I noticed my wife, Camila, leaning toward the microphone with a sly smirk and a glint in her eye. "He's lucky I even said yes," she remarked, giggling as the audience applauded. Remained there, paralyzed, every muscle stuck in place as if we were the target of some horrible comedy act. I could not move or breathe. My face burned hotter than the sun overhead, and I could feel every pair of eyes in the room. The waitstaff even paused, pretending to adjust things, as they watched me soak in my humiliation like delicious wine. Unable to see the performance, my eyes twitched. Inside, I screamed for a way out, a way to reverse time and undo everything. The wedding preparations, the proposals, the long nights spent worrying if her family would ever accept me. As my flesh prickled beneath the expensive suit material I could barely afford, I heard it. The sharp, startling scrape of a chair against the marble floor. I turned just in time to see my 14-year-old younger brother get up from the small table in the back, where my family had been sitting quietly. His voice trembled as he talked, hands shaking as he struggled with a folded piece of paper. "He wanted me to read this," Aiden said, "if anyone ever treated him disrespectfully." His voice cracked, but he steadied it as he unfolded the letter. The laughter abruptly halted, as if someone had slammed a fist on the mute button. Across the room, you could hear the champagne cork popping. Camilla's smile wavered. Gregory's smug expression froze, his glass halfway to his mouth. Celeste Vaughn, seated primly next to him, blinked in confusion. At first, Aiden's voice faltered as he gripped the pearl necklace at his throat, but each time he spoke, he grew stronger. He read my words, the ones we had penned together months ago when I feared this very nightmare might come true. He spoke about how, when she was 12, Mom stocked shelves after school while other kids played video games. About how I worked odd jobs to pay bills, how I skipped prom to afford my graduation gown. He spoke about surviving, living with dignity, not to please those who despised us. The room was so still, it felt like we were submerged underwater. Even the band didn't move. Nobody grabbed their drinks. My mother, Teresa, wiped her eyes with a cloth. Frozen instruments sat slack in the corner. Camilla looked at me across the polished wood of the cocktail napkin, her lips quivering, not with love but something money couldn't buy. At the head table, her flawless lips parted, as if she wanted to say something but didn't know what. When Aiden finished, he stood there with the letter hanging from his fingers. For the first time in her life, Camilla was speechless. Aiden's chest rose and fell quickly as if he'd run a marathon. The chandeliers dwarfed him, but he seemed 10 feet tall to me. My heart continued to pound against my ribs. Slowly, my hands relaxed, and I took a long breath. The kind you take before making a choice you can never undo. I turned to Camilla, the woman in the expensive gown, the one with the sparkling diamond ring, the one who laughed when I was devastated in front of everyone. And I saw it now, the way she looked. She didn't even try to stop it. She laughed at me when she thought I wasn't looking, when her friends giggled behind manicured hands. when I pulled up in my 10-year-old car, offering real estate advice instead of marriage guidance. I was so desperate to fit in that I ignored every red flag. Now awake, I adjusted my jacket instinctively. I smoothed imaginary wrinkles and moved, with precision and purpose. I gently stepped away from the table, the weight of the room pressing on my back like a tidal wave. I heard Camilla whisper my name, soft and unsure, but I didn't look back. I didn't want to be crushed. Instead, I walked toward Aiden, my mother, the only people who never measured my worth by money. That night wasn't ruined. It was reborn. Not as a celebration of love, but as a memorial to the lies I lived under. And as I steadied Aiden's shoulder and met his tearful, rebellious eyes, I realized something. This was when I truly began to live. I chose myself. And no amount of sarcastic comments or champagne toasts could ever take that away again. I used to believe survival only happened during hurricanes, car crashes, or big dramatic events. But for us, for Aiden, for Mom, survival was a grocery store paycheck. It was a heater that squealed all night but never really worked. Life didn't give second chances. It gave bills, obligations, and people to take care of while you barely held on. Before Aiden could even remember him, our father died in a construction accident. One unstable scaffold, one missing warning, and suddenly it was just the three of us. I was 9 years old enough to know you couldn't grieve your way out of death, but too young to understand the full weight of it. Mom did everything she could. Double shifts at the diner, cleaning jobs on the weekends. She made birthdays memorable with boxed cakes and dollar store decorations. By 11, I was stocking shelves after school. Mr. Delaney, the manager, probably pitied me, slipping extra dollars into my paycheck. But I didn't care. Pride didn't. Feed a family. I learned to memorize prices faster than the cashiers twice my age. I learned to read Mom's face when she opened bills, whether it would be a month of peanut butter sandwiches again. Aiden, with his messy hair and big eyes, deserved better. I worked so he could have birthday parties at the community center and play soccer, even though the registration fee made Mom's hands shake when she wrote the check. When I met Camilla Vaughn in college, it felt like stepping into a dream. She passed me on campus, late for my third shift of the day. Stylish handbag draped casually over her shoulder. Pink nails, probably called Cherry Blossom Luxe. Giggling, not laughing, a full carefree laugh. She never once worried about affording textbooks. She smiled at me once, and I smiled back, grateful someone saw me. It started with coffee after class, late-night conversations on the lawn. She told me about summer mansions, private flights, charity galas. I told her about peace suppers and, trying not to sound too pitiful, her parents, Celeste and Gregory Vaughn, ruled country clubs and real estate empires. I should have run then. But Camilla didn't seem like them, at least not at first. When I took her to food trucks, she laughed and said she loved it. She said she admired my drive, ambition, and heart. I had to believe her, because deep down, I was tired of surviving. I wanted to live. I worked more shifts. I saved. I bought a tiny diamond ring. I proposed under fairy lights in a botanical garden. She cried real tears. Or maybe she just knew how to make it look that way. From the first handshake, Gregory's disdain was clear. His grip crushed my hand. At our first dinner, he asked, laughing, "And what do you plan to do, son?" "Work hard," I said, the only thing I knew how to do. I squeezed Camilla's hand beneath the table. I thought it would be enough. It wasn't.